Hello. Good afternoon. Welcome to the press briefing of the House Prosecution Panel. We have here with us now from our right, former Congressman Congressman Isabel Maria Zamora and Congressman Rods Gutierrez of the House Prosecution Panel. Okay, let's hear first the opening statement of our panel. To the audience, please.
As we always practice in this culture, let the ladies do it first. Kong Bell?
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. So we have concluded our first week of trial. It is our third day. And today, what we had was the cross-examination of our witness, John Mark Calilong, the agent on case who investigated the threats, the utterances made by Vice President Sara Zimmerman Duterte on November 23, 2024 at that online media briefing which was live streamed through Zoom and live streamed on Facebook. So we heard the questions propounded by the defense to John Mark Calilong, which we believe were sufficiently answered by John Mark Calilong. That's why our prosecution decided, or we decided, not to conduct any redirect examination anymore. That is our opening statement in the meantime.
Since I'm the senior, now we let the junior member of Congress to deliver his opening statement.
I think Prosecutor Zamora has said it best, so I just want to say good afternoon and thank you for having us today.
Now it's the turn of the senior, not the senior citizen. Well, ngayong araw na ito ay ngayong linggo ito ay tinapos natin ang unang witness na ipinagsinta ng ating prosecution panel at nakita po natin dito sa day 3 ng impeachment trial na kung saan ay nagkaroon ng cross-examination ay hindi po natibag o hindi nabutasan ang testimonya na inilatag o ibinigay ng ating witness na si Agent Mark Calilong, John Mark Calilong. So isa pang pruweba na ito ay nagsasabi ng katotohanan because it's very consistent with all his statements from the beginning and even during the cross-examination, nakita natin na he was firm. At tinayuan niya yung kanyang mga binitawang mga pahayag o testimonya during the first day that he was presented as witness for the prosecution. So yan ay isang magandang development at aming nakita na sa susunod na mga araw mailalatag pa rin ang mga ebidensyang inihanda ng ating prosecution panel.
Siguro, Kong Ace, banggitin ko kung ano yung nangyari kanina, no? Nung time po ng defense para mag-cross, may mga nilabas po silang mga dokumento. Sa tingin po namin kasi gusto nilang questionin ang credibility at yung training ng ating witness. So natural naman na gagawin ng depensa na questionin ang kredibilidad ng witness ng prosecution, pero ito po wala naman pong na ipakita ang depensa na gaya ng sabi ni Kong Ace, matitibag ang statements na ginawa ni John Mark Calilong kahapon sa kanyang direct examination. Narinig din po natin ang mga tanong ng ating mga senator judges at lahat naman po ng kanilang katanungan ay nasagot ni John Mark Calilong from questions regarding his training, questions regarding the investigation he conducted, and questions regarding the threats which he investigated. In fact, ang last statement po ni Agent John Mark Calilong ay yung threats po ay absolute.
All right, we'll now entertain questions. Tina?
Dun po sa trial kanina, a video of Attorney Zulaika Lopez was shown, and the prosecution plans to present her also as a witness in this article on grave threats. How will the showing of that video kanina po help in your presentation of the witness next week? Parang,
Well, syempre hindi ko sasagutin ang aming strategy for next week. Pero siguro banggitin ko in relation to the video of Zulaika kanina. There are several clips na pinalabas po kanina. And sa totoo lang, para-pareho naman tayong nagtaka kung bakit ipinalabas ng depensa iyon. It was Senator Judge Risa Ontiveros herself who asked kung ano yung relevance ng video na ito. Parang ang point niya, sinasabi nyo ba na this prompted the Vice President's utterances? In fact, if I'm not mistaken, ang kanilang abogado ay nag-yes agad. Tapos nung pina-clarify or pina-reform ng ating presiding officer yung tanong, medyo binawi yata ng defense lawyer. So, yun lang po.
Well, para sa akin, nakita natin no, na nakadagdag ng justification. If you recall, no, ang unang nagpasabpina kay Attorney Zulaika Lopez ay ang panig ng prosecution. And with the presentation of the defense kanina dun sa video clips, it made Attorney Zulaika Lopez very important, no? Which means justifiable yung paghingi o pagsabpina ng prosecution kay Attorney Zulaika Lopez. And yung kanyang testimonya na ibiniga o pinakita dun sa video makes it more interesting, no, for the prosecution to ask perhaps, no, yung ating bagong sinampi ng witness kung ano ba yung relevance nung video na yon doon sa usapin ng grave threats. Ano yung relevance nung video na yon na pinakita ng defense doon sa sinasabi nating inciting to sedition that have been committed by the Vice President. And all this, no, will now be the topic when Attorney Zulaika Lopez will be presented or will be sitting in the witness stand. So yan ang napakahalaga na development sa ngayon. No? It helped the prosecution panel justify why we needed the testimony or why we needed Attorney Zulaika Lopez as the witness for the prosecution. So yan po ang magandang nangyari ngayong araw.
I guess in addition to that po, just on the point of the order of the proceedings, I think it's very important to note na protected pa rin po yung rules of the impeachment court and tuloy pa rin yung proseso as per the rules. It's important to note, no, for the public viewing, medyo baka naninibago po sila, hindi to parang yung mga usual hearings na nangyayari sa Senado or sa Kongreso in which free-flowing po yung mga pagtatanong. There is a very rigid order to the presentation of witness. You have your direct and you have your cross. And kung makita mo, although nabanggit na nga po, na i-presenta na po to an extent, yung video po ni Chief of Staff Zulaika, ni Attorney Zulaika, hindi pa rin fully na-trash yung issue dahil nga po there's a proper place and a proper time to discuss it. So, tying it up with the prosecution without talking much of the evidence that the prosecution wishes to present or the witnesses that they wish to present, it just shows na everything is in line with the procedure and the integrity of the evidence is still intact.
may action po ba yung Senate Impeachment Court on the request of prosecution to subpoena Attorney Lopez?
Yeah, I believe the subpoena was issued yesterday, if I'm not mistaken. And earlier, before the adjournment of the court, the presiding officer mentioned that he clarified, no, whether the prosecution panel would like the impeachment court to subpoena Attorney Zulaika Lopez, and the response of the prosecution panel was yes. indeed, we need the testimony of Attorney Zulaika Lopez, which made it more important after the hearing today during the cross of the defense panel.
Sir, does that mean meron nang na-receive si Attorney Lopez na subpoena to appear next week?
Yeah, but if that order was issued yesterday, perhaps, presumably, it was already received by the office of Attorney Lopez.
Thank you.
Good afternoon po. Yung pagpapakita po ng video ni Attorney Lopez kanina, did it help the defense's case? Or ano po ang palagay po ninyo dito? Did it justify the utterances of the Vice President?
Yeah, I think merits na 'yon, no. Gaya ng siguro ano na lang, general response from the panel is that we were surprised, no, to see that the video, the clip where Attorney Zulaika Lopez was presented as the evidence of the defense, no. And we weren't expecting that because the whole issue was about the threats issued by the Vice President. And we were anticipating that the defense would cross-examine our witness on the basis of the testimonies uttered or the statements uttered by the Vice President. So, meron palang silang ibang strategy, na meron palang silang ibang plano. That's why they presented that.
If I can also get your comment po dito sa statement ni Attorney Vinluan saying when the Vice President uttered those words, she was responding not as VP but as someone who wants to protect her family from the supposed threats, and that she did not commit an impeachable offense, that grave threats falls under jurisdiction of first-level courts and not a high crime.
This is just on my part lang po, no? I think we can't really comment on that. Again, this goes into the merits of the case. Yung mga nabanggit po ni Attorney Vinluan would be, verily, it's appealing to the merits of the case and how it will be decided. But what I can say is that we can see the fairness of the impeachment trial court. Nakita po natin, there was a question that was raised yesterday that was answered by Attorney Ligutan to a certain extent na medyo similar in tenor. That's not usually in line with because it was a question by the senator judge, and the presiding officer Escudero was very fair in allowing the defense side to also air out in a similar way a sort of response or manifestation. So I think in a way protected po yung integrity and the fairness of the impeachment trial, and we just hope to see more of that po siguro moving forward. But as to the actual how it would affect the case, we have to leave that to the senator judges to decide po.
My comment on that is, while there was some sort of a closing statement on the part of the defense earlier, and we understand that that was given kasi nga po kahapon, nagsalita din si Attorney Ligutan of the prosecution ng 5 minutes. Gusto namin ipaalam na hindi pa po tapos ang presentation of evidence ng prosecution. Meron pa po tayong mga witnesses next week and the following weeks. In fact, ang binigay po sa ating trial dates ay 11 for Article 4, and we will exhaust that depending on our strategy, depending on the way that the prosecution sees fit.
Last na lang, your assessment po dito sa first week ng impeachment trial ng Vice President. Si Representative Luiso kanina said daw, so far so good. I wonder if you share that sentiment.
Who do you want? Anyone? Okay. Well, ako itong gaya nung nabanggit ko kanina, no, na after 3 days of trial, no, from the beginning where the procedural matters were resolved by the impeachment court, and day 2 when the witness was presented, and day 3 when the same witness was cross-examined by the defense. Ang masasabi ko lang overall, no, so far ang prosecution panel has initiated, no, the constitutional process of impeachment, meaning from the beginning na kung saan ay maraming haka-haka na hindi ito matutuloy, ito ay natuloy. Dun sa mga haka-haka na pipigilan ito, hindi po nangyari yan because nakapagpresenta tayo ng ebidensya. Pangatlo, habang pinipresenta ang ebidensya, pinipresenta ang witness, ay hindi nila na tibag o nabasag ang testimonya ng aming witness sa prosecution panel. And we are confident that with these developments for the first week of the trial, I believe that the subsequent days of the trial that will happen, we will be able to present our witnesses and our evidence. We are certain that the same impression by the people would be present. Meaning, ganun ang pagkakalatag ng aming ebidensya at ng aming prosecution panel. Tuloy-tuloy po ito. At itong prosesong ito, hanggang sa dulo, dapat po matapos natin ito. Tapusin natin itong prosesong ito.
Kung, just ano lang po, sino sa inyo po yung pwedeng sumagot? Just a reaction lang po sa kanina sa cross-examination. Sinabi kasi, or parang pinuna ni Senate Presiding Officer Chis Escudero, si Attorney Amando Ligutan at sinasabing, kasi nga sunod-sunod yung kanyang objection at sinasabing tila frustrated si Attorney Ligutan. So, ano po yung reaction nyo?
Well, you know, in any court case, in any trial, nangyayari naman po yan talaga between lawyers. Siguro gusto namin din ipaalam sa lahat na ang isang trial ay hindi napapanalunan sa daming mga motion mong na gagrant ng judge o ng justice. O hindi ito paramihan ba ng points. No? So, ang importante po dito, at the end of the day, is mailabas yung ebidensya and understandably mag-o-object ang opposing counsels. Nangyayari talaga yon during direct exam, cross-exam. Ganun ho talaga ang proseso kapag nakikita po ng mga abogado na may some sort of maybe violation of the rules on how we present our witnesses. So naturally, may nakita ang prosecution kanina na ka-object-object sa pagtatanong ng defense counsel, kaya po nag-o-object. Kahapon naman din po sila, sunod-sunod naman din po ang objection sila. Ganun lang po, sa totoo lang, trabaho yan ng mga abogado.
Pero hindi naman po yun frustrated. I mean,
well, you know, Attorney Ligutan is a seasoned lawyer. Kulang pa po yan, sabi nga nila, sa kanyang ginagawa in a normal case.
Dagdagan ko lang, no? Nakita naman natin na talagang preparado yung ating prosecution panel, no? From our public prosecutors and sa private prosecutors, patuloy yung kanilang pag-aaral, patuloy din yung kanilang preparasyon. In fact, wala na nga mga tulog itong ating mga prosecutors. Tino mo, kahit na walang tulog, magandang babae at magandang lalaki pa rin sila. No? That only means that they're confident that they're going to win this case. No? The best part here is that they came prepared and their preparation is paying off. No? Nakikita natin, ang tao ay namumulat sa katotohanan at namumulat dito sa ebidensyang ipinresenta.
Just to add lang po, no, not necessarily in that point, but just to answer the question, of course, as Kong Zamora has already mentioned, it's really part of the process. We also saw it yesterday in the part of the defense, no? Na the lawyers, it is their job, it is their duty to their client to zealously protect and to defend their cause. So talagang lalabas po talaga yun. It's but normal in the process to have these objections. Kahit na marami yan, it's because they have to safeguard really the cause of the interest and cause of their clients. But with that, it's also but normal that lalabas rin yung person natin ng lawyers. Just to answer the question po, no, yung, if you were asking if talagang frustrated po sa pagkakakilala ko working with Attorney Virgil, hindi po. He's just very passionate. And if you review naman po yung nangyari sa trial, even when it was him who was objecting, very passionate naman po talaga siya. So I wouldn't think po na frustrated talaga. But yeah, that's just the way that I saw it po.
Again, no, ang article of impeachment number 4 ay tungkol sa grave threats. No? Ito ay hindi ordinaryong pangyayari, no? Lalo na kung ito ay manggagaling sa isang mataas na opisyal ng gobyerno. Yun ngang ordinaryong tao na nagbabam joke sa eroplano o sa airport, talaga namang pinipigil, hinuhuli at kinakasuhan, napaparusahan. Ganun din naman yung mga sisigaw ng sunog sa loob ng sinihan, no? These are crimes that seriously has to be seriously punished, no? Kaya mas lalo na kung ito ay binigkas o binitawan ng isang mataas na opisyal ng ating gobyerno. Walang lisensya ang sino man sa ating gobyerno, ikaw man ang pinakamataas na hinalal ng taong bayan, ay walang lisensya para gawin mo ito.
Good afternoon po. Of course, not to put emphasis on the score or kung victorious po ba yung first week po ninyo. But would you say that hawak po ninyo yung momentum, let's say? Hawak po niyo yung momentum after the first 3 days of the trial?
No, I wouldn't say that, but I would say that it was a good week for the prosecution.
Umpisa pa lang naman ng boxing, ika nga, no? Kumbaga sa basketball, first quarter pa lang ito. Napakahirap pa hong sabihin kung sino yung nanalo, sino yung ano. Maring maisip ng ating mga kabayan kung sino yung lamang, pero hindi pa masasabi kung sino yung panalo. First quarter pa, marami pa hong time out ito. Kaya yun ang maganda at aabangan natin yan.
In addition to that lang po siguro, and I think we've noticed that po, no, since day one, medyo, if we look at public perception, naging tali na po yung nangyayari dito. Nagbibilangan po ng puntos, kumbaga. But I think it's very important to remember na this is not the process, the whole process of impeachment trial is not about yung paramihan po ng mga motion that was granted or paramihan po ng puntos na binibilang po ng ating mga kababayan na nanonood. But it's actually about the quality of the questions that are being asked. Really ultimately is whether or not at the end of the day evidence is left standing. So it's all about whether the foundation of the evidence is laid out properly and that the evidence is laid out in a clearly understood manner. As to whether or not that was achieved for the prosecution this week, we cannot say. Of course, that's on the merits and it's up to our senator judges. We wouldn't want to say anything that would tend to prejudge the case. But all we can say is that, like Attorney Zamora said, Kong Zamora said, it was a good week for the prosecution.
Balikan ko po yung sa ano, parang may pinresent po yata yung defense kanina na website nung max score, tapos pinakita po nila dun sa witness. What were your thoughts dun po sa presentation po nila? Parang they're trying to establish po na, o let's say, kino-question ba nila yung naging training ni Kalilong nga po? Kasi parang binabanggit yung mga product services po nung max score kanina.
Yes, I believe that was the point of the defense. Kasi ang nilabas nga nila, parang supplier yung kumpanya, no? And I guess, yun ang direction. Kasi sa totoo lang, no, sabi nga ni Attorney Digutan kanina na nasaan na yung mga tanong in relation to the pictures, in relation to the articles of partnership, nga ba yun? Kulang ng tanong. But kami po, syempre naisip namin na patungkol yon doon sa training na nakuha ni JM Kalilong. Well, in any case, no, one senator judge, I think it was, I think the Senate President who asked regarding max score interventures, and totoo, kinonfirm ni JM Kalilong na supplier to. Pero in fact, they had trainers na nagbibigay ng training. So kung sabihin na kung ang punto ay supplier sila, hindi sila dapat gumagawa ng training to discredit JM Calilong, well, nasagot naman po ng ating witness na yung training ay binigay ng trainer for forensic tools and there were certifications. In fact, hawak-hawak nga din po niya kanina yung certifications na I believe sinerox po ng ating Senate staff nung hiningi po ni Senator Judge Robin Padilla ang copy ng kanyang mga certifications.
Last na lang po. Doon po kay, syempre nasabi niyo na po na hindi natibag, na naging napaka-consistent po ng mga sagot ni JM Calilong. But ano po yung thoughts niyo doon naman sa, kasi alam ko may mga questions po yata kanina regarding inimbestigahan din po ba daw yung Romanov or inimbestigahan din daw po ba yung threats daw po sa Vice President nung pinlay nga po nila yung portions ng video. Parang sinasabi na aside dun sa sa President, nag-investigate din ba yung NBI dun sa iba pang mga surrounding na issues sa Vice President po?
I think nakuha natin sa testimonya ni JM Calilong na may proseso silang ginagawa sa NBI and sinunod nila, kasama siya sa parte siya ng isang team, no? At sinabi niya na meron siyang executive, meron siyang upper person na nag-direct sa kanila na gawin itong mga hakbang na ito. So he was part of a team who conducted the investigation. And I believe that that he was able to show the different steps that he took to conduct the investigation. And kinonfirm naman niya na they looked at different videos. In fact, they even checked nga the alleged threat on the Vice President. So, I think wala naman po silang hindi ginawa based on, I guess, their mandate and what they are allowed to do under the law.
In other words, the witness presented by the prosecution was not impeached.
Sirs, ma'am, balikan ko lang yung parang naging question ni Senator Judge Risa Ontiveros. Yung tinanong niya na kung ito ba ang plano ng defense na i-establish na parang dahil na-oppress yung OVP Chief of Staff, pwede na mag-grave threats. Do you think the Senate Impeachment Court should have allowed the counsel to answer the question of the Senator Judge? Or would you rather not address it?
I think we have to respect the process. We are an impeachment trial. We are prosecutors before a panel of judges, senator judges, and their decision on this matter is absolute and ultimate, and that we would respect whatever decision they would make.
But do you think that was a valid point raised by the senator judge? I mean, was this the reason why the video was presented?
Well, certainly our senator judges would think about that. Kasi bakit nga naman nila ipinapalabas yung video ni Attorney Zulaika Lopez noong gabi na yon, prior to the statements made by the Vice President. So anong connection, di ba? Anong relevance? And I'm sure pare-pareho naman tayo, naisip natin yun na siguro yun ang punto ng kanilang depensa.
Good afternoon po. Yung question ko po yung sinasabi ng defense panel repeatedly na wala pa pong napapatunayan yung prosecution that a contract indeed exists, contract to killed the President, First Lady, and former Speaker. Kaya ang kanilang conclusion, ergo, there is no impeachable offense committed on the part of the Vice President. How do you respond lang po dun sa, lagi nila kasi yung ina-argue, even outside of the impeachment court, na there is no physical contract of that supposed kill job. Thank you. Conditional kill job. Thank you.
Okay. Siguro kaya medyo mas sumasagot ako ngayon kasi kasama ako sa threats na team, no? But without going to the merits of the case, without going to their evidence or the prosecution's evidence masyado, no? Siguro at the end of the day, dapat natin matandaan na hindi naman tayo nagpo-prosecute ng isang criminal case. No? Hindi po tayo nagpo-prosecute ng grave threats. Sa isang criminal case, kailangan mo ng elemento, yung mga elemento ng isang krimen. Pero dito po, ano ba yung pinoprosecute natin? Yung impeachable offenses of betrayal of public trust, high crimes, and culpable violation of the Constitution. Yun po yung tatlo na related sa grave threats nating article, yung Article 4. So, tandaan po natin, wala naman specific na elemento itong mga to. Ang sinasabi natin, ang actuations ng Vice President in relation to that November 23, 2024 video ay or constitute betrayal of public trust, or she betrayed the public trust dahil sa kanyang pagbabanta sa buhay ng presidente, ng First Lady at former Speaker of the House. This is a very general term, no? Betrayal of public trust. So wag po natin tignan ng specific elements ng isang crime under the revised penal code.
So having said that, contract or no contract, given the actuations of the Vice President, your allegation still stands. Would that be correct?
The allegation.
Your allegations will still stand regardless if there is physical contract or not. Would that be correct?
Okay, the allegation that there was an impeachable offense, yes, contract or no contract, it is our position that her utterances made on November 23, 2024 constitute impeachable offenses of betrayal of public trust, high crimes, and culpable violation of the Constitution.
Thank you, ma'am.
Pinalotina, one follow-up question.
Going back sa tanong ni Haji about Romanov, can you tell us the significance of this to the impeachment trial? Na-establish po ba na meron ngang Oplan Romanov? And what can you say about it being mentioned by the defense during the trial?
Well, if I may, yung Oplan Romanov na yun, wala namang basihan siguro. Dahil unang-una, when the NBI invited the person who to which that
regarding this petition filed by some of the lawyers allied to the Vice President with regard to Senator Escudero as the presiding officer, may we know, even if there's no decision yet by the Supreme Court, what if the court would decide in favor of them? So how would it affect the impeachment process, this impeachment trial?
Ayoko naman din ho pangunahan ang Supreme Court, but in any case, wala naman po silang nilalabas na TRO or what have you. So, tuloy lang po ang ating proseso dito sa Senate Impeachment Court.
So you're not concerned that just in case na baka mapalitan siya?
Hindi po tayo concerned doon. And of course, we follow the Senate impeachment court. There was, for all of us, there was a proper election of the presiding officer, and we trust the will of the majority of the senators when they did that. So kami po, syempre, as lawyers and as officers of the court, sumusunod po tayo sa mga hakbang na ginagawa ng isang korte, including the impeachment court.
For Joe Malapas.
Isang tanong lang po. Doon sa cross-examination po ng defense, di mo na yung pagbabanta ni BP Sara nung panahong kino-contempt si Atty. Lopez. Kung sakali po na pumalag ulit o may pumalag ulit o tumanggi si Atty. Lopez na pumunta sa impeachment court, ano po posibleng mangyari?
Siguro ayaw din namin pangunahan muna yan. Hintayin na lang po natin kung dadating si Atty. Lopez sa day kung kailan po nakaschedule siya to be our witness. I believe next week po, she will be the second witness.
Okay, we'll entertain 2 more questions.
To Prosecs and to spokes barbers po. Ma'am, on the contract and or no contract when it comes to hiring an assassin, on its criminal nature lang po, hiring as an assassin, does it even require an actual paper where the supposed hired assassin would swear that he would kill someone or whatever, the details na nakalatag po? For it to even exist, that's my only question, ma'am. Thank you po.
Wala pa ako nakitang nangyaring gano'n, no? Na kung saan ang isang kriminal ay may kontrata. No? If indeed the person is a assassin or is an assassin, wala naman siguro kontrata yan. Diba? Wala naman siguro ding paper na, halimbawa, hindi tumupad sa kontrata, didemanda mo ba siya ng breach of contract? Diba? Hindi eh. So I don't, honestly, walang kontrata na dapat tingnan among the contracting parties and the person in the party involved.
Okay.
Well, of course, tama po si Kong Ace, no, na I'm sure wala pang nakagawa na may written contract relating to the hiring of an assassin. I mean, as lawyers, no, wala pa tayong nahawakang ganyang kaso. And ito this is not from a prosecutor, but as a lawyer. Any contract involving hiring an assassin or involving the killing of a person would be illegal because it involves something that is void or illegal. So that the contract itself is void.
Actually, ang follow-up question dyan, kung halimbawa totoong may contract, inonotaryo ba yan?
Judea Bernardo po from DATV News. Just for the record lang po, may reason po ba kung bakit po nausad si Attorney Jeremy Lotok for next week's witness stand po? And why is NBI Director Melvin Matibag not part of the witnesses next week?
It is really a matter of the prosecution strategy, or the prosecution and the threats team strategy to have Attorney Lotok on Monday. After all, paggabi na din naman, and we don't want to waste everyone's time or up to tonight, di ba po? Siyempre, pag naumpisahan na yan, tuloy-tuloy na yan hanggang mamayang gabi, and we don't want to do that. But in any case, I'm sure that Attorney Lotok will be there on Monday, and he will be able to answer all of the questions that will be propounded by both parties and the senator judges. Now, as regards the reason behind Director Matibag not being in the list for next week, we will probably present him the following week dahil 3 days a week lang nga po ang ating ang ating trial. And kanina po, ang hiningi sa atin ay 3 names lang.
Sorry, follow-up lang. Do we expect yung trial to be longer next week considering na 1 witness lang per day? Kasi kahapon si Agent Kalilong nasa ngayon. So next week, 1 witness per day. So mas magiging mahaba.
Alam mo, depende po yan sa testimony ng witness at syempre sa kung gaano kabilis o kabagal ang pag-present ng mga abogado ng testimonya ng witness. So, hindi natin masabi na mas mahaba yung kay Kalilong o yung kay Lotok, but we will see po.
I think we have to consider also po na there's no strict limitation. Yung 1 day per witness rule, it's the other way around. No? The ideal is that the witness's testimony would be dispensed with within 1 day, not necessarily 1 day isang witness lang po. As you would recall, in fact, what was supposed to happen earlier was a second witness was to be presented because we already had the first witness today po. No? But what we have to remember po with this process is that it's not exactly, you can't base it on the previous witness. It is not predictable, especially na the line of questioning will evolve po, no? Together with the cross, the redirect, and the recross. It really depends on what has transpired in the previous segment. So we really can't tell. But what we can say, based on what the prosecution has mentioned a while ago, is that they will maximize po the trial dates. And so far, that is what we see.
Okay, on that note, we want to thank our panelists and our friends from the media.
Thank you.
Okay, good evening.
Next week.
Next.